So in my previous video, I detailed why God can't be a magician, covering what God is, what he can't do, and laying the groundwork for a classical theology of God. Why is this important? Because many theologians define God on supernatural, miraculous terms. God can do whatever he wants, they say, because by the power of his very will, God can do magic and can hold cloth, pull rabbits out of a hat anytime he chooses, as he made reality what it is and can change it or stop it whensoever he chooses. But this violates reason, human experience, and the very principles of reality we see around us in the world. When we see day turning to night, we're seeing a carefully calibrated process by which the earth is set in its rotation. Change it, suspend it, or stop it, and you break that intricate design with a whole host of disastrous consequences for us living in the world. And what are these consequences? Everything not locked into the earth would continue moving at 1,600 kilometers per hour. Winds from the atmosphere would keep moving, leveling everything on the surface. Continents would be swept away by massive tsunamis. Earth's shape would be shifted, causing colossal earthquakes and volcanoes. The equatorial bulge of the Earth would be pulled away towards the poles, and a new massive continent would appear around the equator. You would end up with 6 months, days and nights, with one side scorched by the sun and the other side freezing in darkness, until the Earth resolved to an opposite position around the sun. That is, of course, if the Earth is still rotating and God didn't stop that. Otherwise, you would end up with an Earth um, completely in darkness on one side, and then on the other side, completely scorched by the sun. The atmosphere would be lost without the core spinning, resulting in the failure of the Earth's magnetic field, thus exposing our world to deadly space radiation. And almost all life would be wiped out, except for microorganisms living deep underground. And that's what would happen if the Earth stopped spinning. So, break these laws of science, and you don't just halt things, you make them untenable for anything living on the Earth's surface, and anything else dependent on the fine balance they establish for the world's very uniformity and equilibrium. So, as I said, God can't break these laws either without violating the principles of his own being and ultimately ushering in the consequences implicate in breaking the natural order for us and anything else residing here on the earth. Yet there's more. For by saying God can miraculously append these laws without consequence, you're really nullifying the basis for there being any law in the universe. God, you're saying, doesn't need them. And ultimately, the base state of reality is not to have these laws either. So there's no negative result that would occur for these laws being stopped or dropped. Reality, they say, they would indicate reality would perdure, and all the so called physical consequences for these laws being suspended or dropped, well, that would all be a big flop, according to them. Yet we know what the results would physically be were these laws of science, nature, and reality to be stopped or gotten rid of. reality as we know it would crumble. And on that count, this theology is rendered defunct. It just wouldn't work, and the world wouldn't work by this principle either. So we have an axiom about theology that can be drawn here. For any theological principle to exist, it must not violate the laws of science, nature, reason, or human experience existing in the world. Let me repeat that again. For any theological principle to exist, it must not violate the laws of science, nature, reason, or human experience existing in the world. Think about that. For otherwise, it would result in the negative consequences incumbent on removing the stable basis of reality. And you can tell an erroneous theology too, for it ends up breaking any of these established natural principles and the laws of science and experience. You just can't get out of a universe of lowly principles, for as soon as you do, reality unravels. This theology is bogus. There can be no reality without laws, for when you do away with laws, you do away with the fundamental constants of reality. And without the constants of reality, you're living in a fairy world. Enter the world of the sky fairy. Anything goes in this world. Signing off.